Okay, I'm losing track of which number I'm on now. This is getting very long. I'm very sorry, but you know, obviously I'm going into quite a lot of detail here about the issues at stake, and I feel very passionate about this. So anyway, watch the other parts first, otherwise this won't make sense. But anyway, Whatleys are making a shitload of money, yeah? They got so complained about that I believe last year they didn't actually tow vehicles away so much. They were actually not seen to be doing it. But guess what? This year, they decided to do it again. Yeah? So they're back there, in force, doing it again. Yeah? So, even though they were complained about one year, and they said, yeah, well, the complaints are justified, you know, the police were a bit heavy-handed, they should have stopped people parking there in the first place, so there wouldn't have been a situation where their cars had to be towed away. They should have just been there telling people, don't park. Yeah? But they didn't do that. So then they said, okay, right, we'll not do it. So they didn't do it for a year, and then they went, fucking hell, Whatleys need to make some money because somebody's getting a backhander for this. The police are getting paid, Whatleys are getting paid. This is big money. They wanted it back, so guess what? It had it back. So the helicopters in the sky, Whatleys towing the vehicles, hundreds of vehicles, yeah, and they've got their own, Whatleys have got their own parking space in Avebury, whereas you're not allowed a parking space, but Whatleys has got a special parking space for their vehicles to be ready to tow all the vehicles away. Now this is your welcome to Avebury from the National Trust and Wiltshire Police and the locals. The locals really like you coming to Avebury to spend your money. The locals really want you to come to the car park and pay £5 to park. The locals don't really want you parking on the road. The locals want you to get towed and get charged 180 quid, because maybe then you won't come back again. It will be such a horrible memory for you that you won't come back. And if you don't come back, then there's less people coming to Avebury. And if there's less people coming to Avebury, it makes their houses more valuable because they can say, well, nobody comes anymore. So we've got this lovely stone circle site. There's less people. They're all under control because they only come in the daytime because the car park's locked. The car park's locked. Double yellow lines to stop people parking near it, yeah. The toilets are closed at night, yeah. And the only place you can go is the pub. The pub installed, guess what the pub installed? The pub installed a parking meter to park in the pub. But if you spent money in the pub, if you spend over a certain amount, they'd actually give you your ticket price back. But if you park in the pub because you wanted to go to the toilet, yeah, and technically you have to buy a ticket to put in your car, and you're going to the toilet and you haven't spent any money because the toilets are closed, then you had to pay to park in the car park at the pub to use the toilet. You can kind of see now, this is all very much stitched up, isn't it? It's all very neatly stitched right up, stitched up to fuck over the poor traveller who's come a long way to see the stone circle site. Yeah? It's all a money-making exercise to trap you into paying money in the car park, to paying high prices in the shops at Avebury, to not be able to park so the locals can increase the value of their houses, yeah? And if you go to the Red Lion, you have to spend over a certain amount before you can park for free. So this is a stitch-up for local business. Now, it's a stitch-up for local business, and it's basically a stitch-up for the National Trust. Now, the reason I object completely to there being a cafe in the most prime location, being the toilets, yeah, at Avebury, is because the toilets at Avebury are the toilets at Avebury. They're not a cafe, they're toilets. And if they're toilets, they should be open as they used to be open, all the time, all day long, so that people can use them whenever they arrive at Avebury, day or night. They have a right to. It is a National Heritage Site. It belongs to the people. It does not belong to the National Trust. They think it does. They seem to have this conception that it belongs to them, and they are its custodians. It does not belong to them. It belongs to the people of the United Kingdom. It belongs to the world. Yes, because it was put there by people who didn't say they gave permission to the National Trust in order to put a fucking private car park there and smash up the stones to build the houses, yeah, which are now being used as an excuse to keep people out of the area. Yeah? The people who built Avebury didn't really want it to be that. Yeah? I just want to know when the McDonald's is coming, you know. They'll probably be allowed in there. They'd probably be allowed, no problem. Yeah, get a McDonald's in there, that'd be great. Yeah, planning application, but not for crop circle believers. No. They'll just run over horses and walkers because they're retards. I can't believe Mr. Vlitos, right? Mr. Vlitos, I would say, right, you need to redo your driving test, right? Do you know why I say you need to redo your driving test, Mr. Vlitos? Because if you passed your driving test, then you know what's involved. You know the road signs, you know the speeds, you know the braking distances, you know how to drive a car, what is courteous driving, what is not courteous driving, and the basic premises of the law. And guess what, Mr. Vlitos? So does a crop circle believer. He had to pass his driving test too, yeah? And he will not want to run over ponies, and he will not want to, make tractors explode, and he will not want to hassle rural walkers any more than people who are coming to the Stone Circle site. Now, the fact that you think, right, the fact that you, Mr. Vlitos, think that people who are going to see crop circles as opposed to stone circles would be a danger in traffic terms means that you have a really fucked up view of how to drive, because you don't understand what sort of people are in cars and what sort of people are doing what. That's like saying, well, black people can't drive. Yeah, black people can't drive, they're shit. They shouldn't be allowed on the roads. Yeah, that would be racist. Yeah, or saying women, they can't drive. Yeah, that would be sexist. Yeah, crop circle people, they're just fucking retards. They can't drive. If that's the way you think, Mr. Vlitos, not only are you elitist, yeah, but you are also seriously deluded. And I would bring you back to your comments up here, which you say, application is well-known crop circle formation theorist with a large following of large like-minded enthusiasts. His or any other crop circle commercial basin with World Heritage Site would not be welcomed by locals or those wishing to promote a more heritage-based application to this site. There are ample facilities for blah, 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 blah. And, what is it? I'm trying to look for it now. The change of use would cause numbers of these enthusiasts to rise, and this would lead to further antagonise the farming community, some of whom regard this phenomena as rural graffiti for the deluded. Okay, let's pick this one up, okay? The farming community are pissed off because of crop circles. Rural graffiti, damage to their land. Damage to their land. By humans, or as some people would put it, extraterrestrials, yeah? The farming community, according to Mr. Vlitos, are pissed off about crop circles. Well, guess what, right? If crop circles are rural graffiti for the deluded, Mr. Vlitos, you're deluded because you don't understand the rules of the highway code and the fact that people who are interested in crop circles can have a driving licence the same as you. So you're deluded. Okay, back to the farmers. Farmers seem in Avebury to think it's a good idea to put the sheep in the fields, shitting on the stones, right? And basically wormifying and parasiting that area all the way round, which I am sure I've heard you're not supposed to farm like that, yeah? So, hang on a minute, the farmers are deluded. The farmers who farm Avebury are deluded, yeah? So, I think that's provable. I think we can prove the farmers are deluded, yeah? And the fact that they want to keep their sheep in that area is basically a campaign to stop people wanting to hang around because of the sheep shit, yeah? So they're using animals, yeah? They're using animals and their excrement as a way to keep people out of the stones, to keep them moving and get them out quick, and then they'll go to the clean areas where they'll buy food, yeah? So the farmers are actually prepared to graffiti with excrement the stones, okay? The grass around the stones is being graffitied with excrement which has been put there by the farmers. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing, These works of art called shit, yeah, which are there in thousands and quantities all over the place, yes? This artistic graffiti that the farmers seem to like, yeah, is there in abundance.